Good morning, students. Today we will be discussing the kingdom Protista in the chapter biological classification, which we have already started. See, in the previous lecture I have already told you about classification, then I have also told you something about kingdom Monera, which includes bacteria. This is again another topic. See, we are studying about the classification of R.H. Whitaker. He classified all the organisms into 5 kingdoms. We have studied the kingdom of Monera. Now this will be Protista. See, we already know about kingdom Protista. There are certain things which we already know. Now, Protista are usually unicellular and they are eukaryotic organism. So that is very important. They are unicellular and eukaryotic. They are present everywhere. They are mostly heterotrophic. Some of them are also photosynthetic. They can prepare their own food. They are autotrophic, while some are heterotrophic. They may be even parasitic. So we will be talking about each type of protist. So according to classification, this has been divided into 5 types, 5 categories. Kingdom Protista have been divided into 5 categories and we have to study all of them. So starting from cryophytes. Okay, first we will be talking about cryophytes. Cryophytes. This includes diatoms and golden algae. Include diatoms and golden algae. Okay, they are mostly present in oceans, in marine water, but they are also found in fresh water. So they have a universal distribution. Most of them are photosynthetic and microscopic. So they can prepare their own food. Photosynthetic as well as microscopic. Because they are photosynthetic, they are autotrophic, photosynthetic autotrophs, and so they can prepare their own food. They have different kind of colors because they have different kinds of pigments. So pigments which are present in this unicellular form are responsible for various kind of colors. That gives colors to them. Moreover, they are chief producers present in the ocean. They are considered to be a kind of phytoplanktons. Now these phytoplanktons are microscopic plants, microscopic as well as unicellular, which are usually consumed by fishes, including both small fishes and large fishes. So they are consumed by aquatic organism basically, and they can produce their own food also. So they are the chief producers also. Now, in most of them, the cell wall has a deposit of silica in them. Silica is present in their cell walls. And after they die, these silica get deposited in the soil, in the bottom part of the water, and that constitutes through billions of years that has been happening, and this is responsible for diatomaceous earth. Now we have been able to find out the silica. We can use this silica for various purpose, including filtrations of syrup, and since they are very gritty, they can be used as polishes also. So naturally they are of some economical use, but yes, they are the chief producers of ocean, we should remember that. So this is all about cryophytes. Now let us talk about dinoflagellates. Let us talk about dinoflagellates. Dinoflagellates, as the name itself indicates, they have two flagella. नाम से ही पता चल रहा है दो flagella present है. Dinoflagellates are also mostly present in oceans, in water, and they can be of various color due to presence of various kind of pigments in them. Moreover, they have already I have told you they have two flagella, and dinoflagellates are the cell wall structure is basically it consists of cellulose. Those cellulose plates are present on the outer cell wall. Now they consist of two kinds of flagella. One flagella is considered to be longitudinal flagella and the other one is transverse. So this is, suppose this is a longitudinal flagella and this is a transverse flagella. So okay, this is a longitudinal flagella and this is a transverse flagella. So longitudinal flagella and this is transverse flagella. Okay. Now the cell wall has a deposit of cellulose. They have two kind of flagella. Now they are also the producers present in the ocean. They can prepare their own food. Now dinoflagellates, some of the dinoflagellates can multiply at a very fast rate. They can be of various color. For example, they can be of green color, yellow color, orange color, depending upon the kind of photopigments present in them, blue color, or even red color. One of the red color dinoflagellates called as Guneolex. It multiplies at a very fast rate. And therefore the whole of the area in the ocean appears to be red color, and that is responsible for red tides. It can be observed very clearly. That is responsible for red tides and it can be observed very clearly. Okay. So some of them produces even toxic substances, and because of that toxic substances many fishes can die. So that is all about dinoflagellates. Now let us talk about euglenoids. Let us talk about euglenoids. euglenoids. So in case of euglenoids, the outer part of the euglenoid consists of, it is not made up of cell wall, but it is made up of a kind of protein called as pellicil. The outer part is made up of a kind of a protein coat which is called as pellicil. Again they have two type of flagella. One is longer flagella, as you can see, and the other one is shorter flagella. Now their behavior is of two kinds. They behave as sometimes as animals. See, there are no cell wall. Only the outer part is made up of a kind of protein called as pellicil, and that is the reason why it is very flexible in nature. And you know, for an organism to be a plant, considered to be a plant, it should have a cell wall. It is not having a cell wall. But yes, they can prepare their own food sometimes because they have a pigments in them, and especially in many cases chlorophyll A is present. Chlorophyll A is generally present in higher plants. So that is also present in euglenoids. Example is euglena, and they can prepare their own food with the help of chlorophyll present in them. So in many cases they can prepare their own food, but suppose if they don't receive the sunlight, in that case it starts behaving as a heterotroph. So it is very surprising organism. It is very I mean to say this organism behave as both as phototropic organism, autotrophic organism, as well as chemotrophic organism. You can say that it behaves at both as autotrophs as well as heterotrophs. Sorry, not autotrophs. Autotrophic organism as well as heterotrophic organism. So they have the both kinds of things in them, euglenoids. When they receive sunlight, they start behaving as a autotrophic organism, and when they don't receive sunlight, they start behaving as a heterotrophic organism, and in that case they act as a predator and they start killing other small organism and eating them. So this is a very bewildering situation in which an organism behaves as both plant and animal. So example is euglena. Euglena. This is the example. Okay. Now let us talk about slime molds. Let us talk about slime molds. Slime molds. See, slime molds are kind of organism which can behave as animal also and which can behave as fungi also, depending upon the conditions. Now, slime molds are generally unicellular. When they are unicellular, they are present in humid soil, in gardens, in forest area, very near to the decomposed twigs, leaves, plant parts. So most of them are decomposers, and they are saprophytes also, and they act as mainly as saprophytes and decomposers. They are present in a warm conditions where water is available. There they are present. In unfavorable condition, the slime molds start uniting and form a structure which is called as plasmodium. They unite to form a structure which is called as plasmodium. Plasmodium is multinucleate structure. Multinucleate structure where cell wall is not present. It is a multinucleate structure, but cell wall is not present. Now this happens during favorable condition. Favorable condition. During favorable condition, they start uniting with each other, forming a structure which is called as plasmodium. And plasmodium is a multinucleate structure. It does not have a cell wall. Now, in certain unfavorable condition, this form a structure which is called as fruiting body. Fruiting body. And the fruiting body starts producing spores. They starts producing what? Spores. S-P-O-R-E-S. Now these spores have a cell wall around them. Cell wall is present around these spores. So that is the difference. In case of plasmodium, the cell wall is not present. In case of spores, during unfavorable condition, they produce a structure which is called as fruiting body, and fruiting body start producing spores, and these spores have cell wall, which makes them resistant to temperature fluctuations and other harsh environmental conditions, and they spread with the help of air and water to other places where they can again give rise to slime mounds. So they behave as fungi also because they are saprophytic, and sometimes they behave as animal also because in certain conditions cell wall is not present. So this is again a very bewildering situation. Now we will be talking about again a last type of protist which is called as protozoan. Now based on certain things, protozoans, based on morphology, its appearance, protozoans have been subcategorized. Now first one is suppose amoeboid protozoan. First one is amoeboid protozoan. See, in case of amoeboid protozoan, example is amoeba as well as enta-amoeba histolytica. Amoeba and enta-amoeba histolytica. Amoeba you have heard so many times. Enta-amoeba is a parasitic form that can thrive inside your intestine, and that can be responsible for a kind of disease called as amoebiasis. ये एक तरह का पैरासाइट है एंटा-अमीबा हिस्टोलिटिका जो हमारे इंटेस्टाइन में प्रेजेंट हो सकता है कंटामिनेटेड फूड एंड वाटर के थ्रू ये पहुंच सकता है दैट कैन रीच इनसाइड द large intestine through contaminated food and water and can create pores in the intestine. The symptoms which appear due to such kind of disease is the stool or the fecal matter, it has a blood clot and lot amount of mucus. So this can be easily discovered. Person start feeling constipation and cramps. So these are the symptoms of amoebiasis. That is also called as amoebic dysentery. Okay. Now this is amoeboid protozoan. So example is amoeba and enta-amoeba histolytica. You must be knowing that amoeba do not have a definite shape. There may be false feet called as pseudopodia through which it obtains food. So that is present here also. Okay, now let us talk about another kind of protozoan. First is amoeboid protozoan. Then we'll be talking about flagellated protozoa. Flagellated protozoans. Now the protozoans in this category have flagella. Example is Trypanosoma. They may be free living, most of them are parasitic. Example is Trypanosoma, which causes sleeping sickness. Okay, it is a kind of disease, mostly found in Africa continent. Okay, flagellated protozoan. Now, first one was amoeboid protozoan. Second one is flagellated protozoan. Now, the third category is ciliated protozoan. In the third category, the example is Paramecium. You must be aware that it has number of cilia, and the cilia are the parts which are present on the cilia are the structures which are present on the outer walls of the paramecium, outer part of the paramecium, and which is help in locomotion. Now it also helps the paramecium in obtaining its own food. Paramecium in obtaining its own food. See, when it starts moving in a particular direction, you must just suppose this is moving like this in a coordinated manner. That means all the cilia are moving in the same direction. Now, any small phytoplanktons such as diatoms, which are very small, they can be drawn towards this gullet. Gullet is the oral gullet or the opening through which the food has to pass in order to enter the paramecium. So paramecium obtains its food with the help of cilia. They move in a particular direction. All the cilia move in that particular direction, and that is a coordinated action, due to which a certain current is produced surrounding the water, in the water as such. A current is produced in the same direction so as to allow the paramecium to obtain this food as such, and the food enters the oral groove, and the food now is available to the paramecium. This is how the food is taken by the paramecium. Okay, now this is the ciliated protozoan. Now let us discuss about the last type of protozoan, which is called as sporozoans. Now the sporozoans are basically which have spores in their life cycle. They produce spores, spores, in their life cycle. Example include Plasmodium. This is a kind of parasite which is present in female Anopheles mosquito. And the female Anopheles mosquito, when bites a healthy person, it infects that person with the Plasmodium, and that is responsible for a disease called as malaria. So, Plasmodium is a kind of parasite. It belongs to sporozoans, and they are present in some of the female mosquito. They enter the female through the infected human blood, and when that female bites another healthy person, it transfers the Plasmodium into another healthy person. So that is a kind of chain process it is a kind of cycle, and where the mosquito, or you can say female Anopheles mosquito, it is a vector. So we have discussed the kingdom Protista. Thank you. Have a very nice day.